Hi, this is Nick George with Clouds Diamond Sharpening. Just going to show you a video on how can I tell my clipper needs maintenance. This is important, guys. Here we go. Alright, frequently asked question. What clipper never needs maintenance? Well, that's an easy answer. All of them need maintenance. Even a laube. This is a laube motor. It's all sealed. Has bearings. But there's carbon brushes right there. And they snap around the armature like this. And see this black stuff? It's from the carbon. And that's where the electricity goes through to the posts. And the carbon gets built up in between these holes and everywhere else. Even around this magnet causes friction, heat, and it will cause it, if there's enough carbon in there, it will cause it to short out posts, and then your clipper will run bad, it'll get hot. And if your clipper's not running at full speed, where this is traveling the most, then it'll only move the blade a little bit, or real slow. So now if the lever, and when you get it serviced, so when this lever has play in it, see, it has no play. But if it had like slop in it where I can move it like that, that means this blade's only going to move a little bit like that. So it's going to cut less hair, and it's going to leave lines in the cut, and you don't want that. You want this to travel at maximum. See how much it travels? I don't know if you can see it, it's going too fast. Maybe I'll try to slow it down. Let's try it with the blade on here, and I'll slow it down in the video. You want that to travel, so you gotta get these maintenance. You gotta get them cleaned out. You just can't change the levers all the time. Yeah, once or twice, that's fine. But I would recommend at least every 6 months you get these motors cleaned out. So here's an Oster A5 or 76 or even a 111. So there's a bushing down in there with a sponge around it. It absorbs oil. When that dries out, it causes friction on this, so it spins slower. If you never get them serviced or cleaned, it leaves a big groove in it. But this looks like a groove. This is a pretty bad groove. This is probably a 10-year-old armature. They probably got it serviced regularly, probably not correctly, or that would be worn down evenly because you're supposed to use a diamond stick and even it out. But anyway, but you see there's little holes in there, and they get filled with carbon. This heats up. Once this heats up, it melts the plastic coating around the wires. Then it starts shorting out, arcing. Arcing means basically catching on fire, because these posts, see how they're separate? Each post is connected to one of these plates here, and the alternating current goes, like around this field, and it spins this. Okay, so when this gets hot and melts those wires, well, then these posts are shorted together, and say if two of them are shorted together, well, when it goes across there, it's gonna fire up every time. And also, these wires will break off these posts, and if one of these posts are dead, well, then your clipper might stop when it gets there, and then you'll be like, man, and then you'll hit it or something, it'll start going for a little bit, and then all of a sudden stop again when you pop the blade on. Well, that's a bad armature. And then this is probably the most expensive piece of any clipper. $65, $55, $30, or $20, $25. I don't know. This is an Oster 76. This is an Andis AGC, AG, BGC, BG. This is Clipmaster. This is a SMC, magnetic motor. Okay, so now we go to the magnetic motors. Even magnetic motors need service. They got carbon brushes. And the carbon gets stuck in there, and they'll get hot. So get them serviced. You need to always keep your cam bearings good. You need to keep your links good, or it causes play in these levers and the blade drives of an andis. Here's an andis. AGC. So if we look real close, there's a little play in it. But this is my test clipper. See how these holes are bent up? It's a little play, and that little bit of play will cause lines in the cut. This ain't too bad, but see how you can lock it in place to the very left or the very right, and then you can wobble it. Look at it wobbling. You can hear it. So either that cam bearing is bad or this drive is bad. It looks like the drive and the bearing's probably bad, but it's just my test clipper, and I'll probably service it today. And also you want to get these serviced because oil eventually will get down in there, and if it gets all the way down here, well, you're gonna blow this switch, $20 switch, and then you're gonna have to replace the armature because you shorted out the post because oil got down in it. So get your clipper serviced. It's very important to keep them running fast, running cool, and running. And you want it to always cut. You don't want to have to be down. You lose money. Trust me, I don't like love doing services, but it has to be done. If you can do your own service, well, that's awesome. But make sure you're doing it right, and like if there's oil down in here and you put a new switch in it because the switch is blown, you'll blow a new switch. The armature will need to be replaced once oil starts shorting these out because it basically solders them together, okay? And that switch can't take the load. So what happens is it blows the fuse in the switch. Here's an andis AGC switch. There's this fuse here. It's there for a reason. If this wasn't there, your clipper would just catch on fire when it shorted out, because the electricity doesn't care if there's oil or not. It'll make itself across here. If it has to solder it all together, it'll solder it all together and catch on fire. So they got these fuses. Okay, so your clipper's wet, this fuse will blow. You put a new one in, boom, there's another one. Oh, well, you can even try another one. Boom, there's another one. Until this is replaced, then you replace this. If this is bad, this is the key part to all clippers. If this is bad, your clipper is not going to run, no matter what. It could also get hot. You get hot, and then this shaft down here will also start to bend a little bit, and your clipper might be so loud and rough, and that's because you got your clipper hot. Once your clipper is overheated, so once this is full of carbon, say you didn't get it serviced in a year, and it's full of carbon, it's done. Okay, it's overheated, and I can clean it out, and yeah, it'll still run, but it's gonna go and vibrate so bad it'll cause heat, and you're not gonna like your clipper. So just get them serviced and keep them running, keep them looking good, and and enjoy your job more. Alright, well, also parts of services, I check the hinges. Okay, if all your blades are rattling, it's probably not your blades, it's probably your hinge. But if one of your blades is rattling, well, simply take a pair of pliers and squeeze these ears together. Don't squeeze this together, it has nothing to do with that. Look, I grind my little lips off so I can put a T111 blade, and this blade still won't rattle. Because you know why? There's play in it. Look at that. Because that is not what holds the blade together. Some customer told me that's what holds the blade to the hinge, and I need to learn how to do my job. And I said, no, you need to learn that these ears are what hold the blade from going left to right. Okay? Not, see? It doesn't rattle. Never rattles. And I would recommend engaging blades while the clipper is running, because the clipper is running and it doesn't damage your lever or drive, and it's easier to engage, and the clipper isn't in a stop motion, so it doesn't have to, when you turn on that electricity, it kicks the motor going and it burns the post every time. And over time, your post is going to look like that. Well, it'll look like that no matter what, but when you get it serviced, here, I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So there's clean. I used the diamond wheel, or you can use a diamond stick and do it while it's running. And I wouldn't recommend it if you never did it, because you could electrocute yourself. But here's a little more fun facts. This is a DC motor. It's magnetic. It has no fans. You notice there's no fans, there's no air holes. This is an AC motor. It has a fan. What that means is electricity goes through this field to spin it. See, this has a fan. It cools it down. Osters have fans, and this is do not. Magnetic has a magnet field, electric field. DC, AC, alternating current, direct current. Okay, so yeah, that was a fun little fact. Alright, keep it sharp, keep it looking good, keep the clippers coming into me. I recommend sending blades with your clippers, because if your clipper isn't running, it's probably starting at the blade, or that you never get it serviced. But yeah, when you get your blade sharpened, it's easier to move because there's no debris on there. It has shape. I re-oil it, I resurface it. It is not flat, and it cuts, and it's less wear and tear on your clipper. The harder this has to move left to right, the more you're gonna have to get it serviced. So if your blades are running at top performance, your clipper's going to keep running at top performance. And I always recommend getting them serviced because it's minimum maintenance, because usually you'll only replace the link, the lever, and the hinge. And those are the only pieces, and the brushes, because I always clean it out. But if you never get it serviced and you're like, I'm going to save money, well, you don't. And guess what? I don't stock all the motors, because I don't want to have to replace them all, and they're expensive. So people don't want to pay for them sometimes, and I don't blame them. But if you don't want to pay for them, then keep that carbon out of there, keep the hair out of there. Even these have carbon in them, they get oil in them. I blow all that out. I clean the armature, I check the power, I make sure the brushes are good, I make sure the hinges are good, I make sure the latch is good to hold the blade down, or if it's a Barber clipper, I make sure the hinge can hold the blade down. If the blade's coming up, it's not going to cut, of course. I clean the top cases so they lock. Hair gets stuck in between there and the lock button stopped working. I check the cords, and I check this bearing. I check both bearings, all three bearings, and make sure it's running. So if you oil you get your clipper serviced and you oil your blades a lot, well, you're looking at $20 to $30 maintenance fee every 6 months. If you don't, well, you're gonna send it in. I'm gonna have to order parts, most likely, and it's gonna have to be all reconditioned. It's gonna be 60 to 70 to maybe even just destroying it and wasting your shipping, because it won't be worth fixing because it costs too much. So keep it looking good, keep it running, keep them serviced, keep the carbon out of there, keep everything out of there, and let it run smoothly and sound good. This don't sound very good, but they usually do. Alright. See See you later. Have a good day.